Oh, my heart. My weak, fragile heart. Oh, oh, sweet, sweet Reggie. What have you done to me? So, you guys, it's crazy. Today is insane. I'm still giddy over what has happened and what has played out today from Nintendo at E3 and their spotlight. I'm reeling. I can't process life right now. It's insane. We know what happened. The spotlight was, I think, incredible, and they had huge bombs, things that I just can't even process right now. So let's just jump right into this madness, this chaos, this unbelievable, sweet, lovely chaos that was delivered upon us today from Nintendo. The big thing, we know, Metroid. Metroid was addressed, was announced, was shown, and did show up with two games. Two games! It totally happened. Two Metroid games. One on the 3DS that Nintendo showed a crap ton of gameplay for. What is life? What is life, you guys? I don't even know what life is. I couldn't define the phrase or the idea of life right now. I'm someone who's still reeling emotionally from the Beyond Good and Evil 2 thing yesterday from Ubisoft. And then Nintendo comes out and was like, "Oh, you like your feelings? You like life? Well, forget that. We're gonna kick you in the balls and just here's two Metroid games." Ha! Like, we win. Yes, you do win. You totally win. Reggie, Miyamoto, Nintendo, Bill, everyone, Sakamoto, all these amazing people working on all these games and working so hard to make us as gamers and also as Nintendo fans so crazy happy, and to undo a lot of the admitted damage that might have been done in the last few years for a lot of people. They've done it. They did it today. I am just so beyond thrilled. All right, so let's further get into the goods. Let's start off and address the big elephant in the room, those two Metroid games. Nintendo did actually, when I say it out loud, I kind of like, my brain is like, are you sure you mean two Metroid games at one time? And it's everything I just certainly didn't believe was going to happen. So we'll address that part real quick. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong 2 times over. Not only did I not think Metroid was even going to show up at all at the conference or at E3 this year, I didn't believe the rumors that were being put out there that even 2 Metroid games were being made. I absolutely did not believe it. I discussed it many times. I made a video. I talked about it in all my prediction stuff. And Nintendo absolutely came out guns blazing, and they came out swinging on the Metroid front in a way that none of us really could have expected, except for maybe people who believed or knew those rumors ahead of time. I think we should absolutely address someone a lot of you guys probably know, Super Metal Dave. Really good channel, a channel that I absolutely like to watch. We've exchanged some comments and tweets and stuff before, a little bit. Really, really smart guy. He's the one who really championed this 2 Metroid games kind of idea and concept. He really dove into it. He really put it out there and believed in it and tried to tell people that he think that was going to happen. He obviously knew something and knew someone. And so credit is where credit goes, where credit is due. So Dave, my man, right on. Awesome. Good job. You know, I didn't believe it. I didn't think Metroid was going to be here. I was wrong. You were right. And people who believed this were right. And I think it's great. And it's way too early for me to have a beer, but if I had a beer, I'd be tipping that beer right to you, my man. So I really appreciate your and other people's dedication to the idea that any Metroid game, let alone 2, would show up. And I'm so unbelievably happy that I was wrong. And that's why I'm really glad that I learned this lesson through seeing other people make these mistakes on YouTube over the last couple of years. I did genuinely believe that Metroid wasn't going to show up and that 2 Metroid games weren't going to be there. I was only being honest with myself and by proxy honest with you guys. I wasn't doing anything crazy, but I'm really glad that I never committed 100%. I was always very vocal that anything could happen. And obviously I could be wrong with any of the many predictions I made, including the Metroid one, which I believed 99%. I was so sure Metroid was not going to show up, and I was wrong, and I'm glad that I stuck to the fact that this is what I think and I'm putting it out there, but you never know. And I'm really glad that that you never know thing left just enough room for Nintendo to come in and swoop in and surprise us and give us these 2 Metroid game announcements. So it feels really, really good. I highly recommend anyone who does YouTube out there, just be smart when you talk about things that you feel like you know or you believe in. You should always leave that room for error and room for yourself to be wrong, whatever your predictions are. And I'm really glad that I did that, because I'd feel really kind of more silly than I already do. But is silly even the word? No, because I'm really just happy. I never wanted to be right, and I'm so glad Nintendo did what they did. So obviously the big first thing they did was they showed a logo for Metroid Prime 4, which it should be noted that that was nothing but a logo. They showed no release date. They didn't even show us initially the team making the game. They just said Metroid Prime 4. When that started, and it was like a space thing, I was sitting on my couch, and I was already enjoying the spotlight, and I was like, well, this looks like space. Not many Nintendo games take place in space. Maybe third party, but maybe not. This wouldn't be Metroid. And then when I saw that 4 come in, I lost it. I lost it, you guys. I was screaming and jumping and hooting and hollering. It was so insane. It was so crazy. And I'll tell you, I actually thought it was just Metroid. Well, it wouldn't have been Metroid 4. My brain wasn't thinking, because Metroid 4 was... Oh no, it would have been Metroid 4, because Metroid 3 is Fusion, so I thought it was Metroid 4. Like, you know, continuing Metroid and then Metroid 2. Or no, wait, it would have been Metroid 5, because it's Metroid, Metroid 2, Super Metroid, Fusion. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this would have been 5. But I wasn't thinking about that in the moment, so when I saw that 4, I just went right to Metroid 4, not Metroid Prime 4, because I was just so excited. And then when it became Prime, I was like... I was shocked. Whoa, like, I thought when Metroid came back again in like a console, like a Nintendo Switch game, which I always believed, I did always say, I knew they were making a Switch Metroid game. I always maintained that. And when that game that I thought that they were making, I didn't think it was going to be Prime 4. I thought it was like, it'll be something totally different. Maybe a first person still, but I didn't think it would be Prime, because I felt like that trilogy and story just concluded at the end of Prime 3, and I was totally fine with that. But this is the direction they've chosen, Metroid Prime 4. Now, this video I'm making is within the hour from the end of the spotlight and the treehouse stuff afterwards. So, I have whatever information I have. This is all really quick gut reaction. I tried to glean what I can. I don't have all the answers to everything. You might watch this way after treehouse stuff has given us all the answers on all these games, and I don't have that right now. I'm just doing immediate geek out reactions. But I do know they confirmed it's not Retro Studios. It's a new team created for this game. But Kensuke Tanabe is still producing the game and directing it, so that's great news. I'm happy about that, actually. As weird as it may sound, I always wanted Retro, even though they made my favorite game ever, Metroid Prime, I wanted them to do something different, which we know they are, and I always wanted, I said this many times, I want a different team making Metroid Prime the next Metroid. Or Metroid Prime 4, and that is something that I did predict that is true, and I'm surprised, because the fact that it turned out to be Prime 4, I'm actually surprised it wasn't still Retro. But that's really cool. You know what? Shake it up. I'm just totally okay with this. For some reason, I'm not nervous like some people have said they're nervous because it's not Retro. I don't really mind. I'm willing to accept this game, whatever. They did confirm first person, and that's all we know about that game. We're going to hear about it sometime next year, I'm sure. But... that happened, Metroid Prime 4 for the Nintendo Switch. Yes, that's so great. And then the other humongous thing, when they did the treehouse, and Reggie's sitting there, and it's like, oh, here's a new 3DS game, which I predicted that, new 3DS game, so that part was another thing I got right. And it turned out to be Metroid: The Return of Samus. Metroid: Samus Returns. And... I was hysterical by this point, you guys. I felt like something in my brain just snapped, and I was not understanding what I was seeing because it was too awesome. I was like, oh my god, another Metroid game, a 3DS Metroid game, and it's a 2D platformer with amazing graphics, and then I saw the way the combat changed, and you get the 360-degree motion, and it's got this action melee combat stuff, and it looked beautiful, and it's a remake of Metroid 2, The Return of Samus on the Game Boy. Oh my god, it was like, what? Why? Like, why are you this amazing, Nintendo? Why are you doing this? I'm just screaming like a lunatic right now, you guys. I'm so sorry. I was so excited. I was giggling. I was just giggling. I was like freaking, my girlfriend's getting ready for work. She's like, oh yeah, my boyfriend's dying in the living room. That's cute. I have to go to work and be an adult. And I'm sitting here, a grown-ass man, just giggling over Metroid Nintendo games on my couch. It was so incredible. And that game looks great. So I need to get into details here. I'm just being such a dork right now, and I need to actually talk about stuff. So Metroid on the Game Boy is the return of Samus, and I love that they called this remake Samus Returns. So it's just kind of like a play on that original game's title. Now, the real details, some of the things I noticed, you guys, and I like this, but let's get a little bit real here when we pick apart what we've seen of this game. They gave us like 40 minutes worth of gameplay at the Treehouse, which was so great. They are like, we're not shying away from this game. It's like, I love that Nintendo does this. Like, here's a new game, and instead of not seeing anything, here's a bunch of stuff about it. You know, Metroid Prime 4 is a different story, but with Samus Returns, they showed a bunch of gameplay. They went over a lot of details. Now, this game, and I like this, but let's be real, like I said, guys, this game and its remake is very heavily inspired by everyone's favorite Metroid game, Other M. It's undeniable. Okay, we can't necessarily say that it's related exactly. I was talking with the podcast guys about this. It's not like it's like the story is related or any of this. Well, I guess it actually kind of is based on what that game was doing. But anyway, it's very much taking the tone and the presentation and the atmosphere and the visual style and the art style of Other M and gameplay mechanics and putting it into this remake of a classic Metroid game in a 2D side-scrolling experience, which is different than what Other M is. And that's great. That's evident in like the Samus character model very much is, to me, looks a lot like the Samus various suit character model of Other M. But what I also liked about it is it's still a throwback to older Samus various suits because it's got the smaller shoulder pads. And that's what that looks like to me. It's kind of like the base form of the various suit she ever had in the original couple of games before the lore got really deep. And I thought that that's really cool to use the art direction of Other M, but the character models and the actual designs from that older game, which is what it's a remake of. So I thought that that was pretty cool. Now, the other thing that's a huge change for this game that I think looks great and is inspired by Other M is the combat and the melee attacks. One of the greatest things she can do, she has that like laser sight pointer for when she's using combat, and like that looks like a really fun way to know how accurate you're going to be. And when enemies get close, she's got like some sort of attack. And years ago, I talked about this. I don't even think on the video. I talked about how I think that Samus should start to kind of have some sort of melee action and should be somebody who's also like a hand-to-hand fisticuffs fighter and not just a long-distance sort of fighter. And that's one of the things I liked about Other M is they started that, and now they're doing that in this game as well because she can knock enemies back when they're close, which I love that. And she has those crazy wrestling-type grappling move takedowns. That was introduced in Other M. That came from that game. And seeing it here in a 3DS engine, it looks gorgeous and it looks like a lot of fun. And Other M was unique in the sense that it was in 3D, but they still kind of had her move on a 2D plane kind of grid. You did have an XY axis, but it was still very much like hold left or right and she moves just on an X or Y. There wasn't like a lot of diagonal motion, which I think is why they didn't give us an analog stick. And it was a mistake, but I still thought that conceptually it was pretty cool and I thought it worked. I like Other M. You guys know that. I like that game. So, yeah, this game, Samus Returns, is very interesting. A remake of Metroid 2. We know why they shut that fan project down now, by the way, guys. So, there you go. And inspired by, well, not inspired by, but borrowing elements from Other M. And last point on this, and then I'll move on to the spotlight, is I always said with Other M, I acknowledge some of the faults and some of the things people don't like. It's totally true. It's not a perfect game. But I always, and you guys have been following me, you've heard me say this, I think the foundation in that game was present for another better game. I think the blueprint for combat and exploration was there in that game, and they literally took the best parts about the game, which is obviously maybe not the story, and people didn't, excuse me, people didn't like the voice acting and all that. So none of that stuff. They just took the gameplay mechanic, refined it, made it better in 2D, and put it on the 3DS. You got it. Sold. You sold me, Nintendo. An absolute win. So, I've spent, you know, the better part of, like, whatever, 10 minutes now talking about these Metroid games. But it's great. I'm so glad that Nintendo proved me wrong. I'm so glad we got 2 Metroid games. Metroid Prime 4 in the next probably 2 years. My guess is 2019, but we'll see what they start to tell us about that over the next few months. Or maybe even at E3 this week. But either way, what an incredible way What an incredible way to start the E3 day. Okay, and now let's just talk about, as a whole, Nintendo's presentation. They finally took the stage. They gave us the spotlight. They gave us the treehouse. What did Nintendo do? Did they succeed? Absolutely. Some people maybe don't feel this way, but for me, I thought Nintendo absolutely destroyed today. They succeeded. They exceeded my expectations. I was expecting a moderate, average show from Nintendo. I didn't want to go in with too high of expectations. I expected to, you know, maybe grade their show like a B or B plus, like a B plus level showing from Nintendo, which to me would have been absolutely adequate. I would have been very okay with that. But I think they did even better. I mean, they showed so many guys. I had to pull up their YouTube channel so I can see like what they did, you know. They showed Xenoblade Chronicles 2. One of my bets I did get wrong is they reconfirmed it for this year, 2017. Great. Thank you, Nintendo. So fantastic. I didn't believe it was going to happen. They showed that game with English dialogue, which to me was a great sign. I said that on Twitter. This is a very good sign, and it is coming out this year. They have Rocket League coming to the Switch. That's a huge win. That was rumored for a while. Those kinds of games we want to see on the Nintendo Switch. That game is going to be so successful on the Switch, and those developers are going to make a lot of money. So, Blizzard with your Overwatch and Activision with your Call of Duty, I hope you guys are paying attention because Call of Duty may still come, but this game is going to show you guys why, yeah, maybe we should put our games on the Switch because, you know, we like money. So, really cool to see Rocket League confirmed and actually come into the Switch. It'll probably be the first time I decide to play it, to tell you the truth. Couple of big moments. They showed a brand new Kirby game, and they showed a brand new Yoshi game. Oh my god, 2D platformers. That's amazing. That's like, I mean, it's like obvious, I guess. It's just, oh, a Kirby platformer, Yoshi platformer. I get that. It's an obvious Nintendo thing, but I love those games. Like, I'm a little bit wary about Kirby because Kirby has shown me it might be continually too easy. And even Yoshi's Woolly World was kind of that way. But I'm still very excited because I love these kinds of games, and I love these platformers, and I love Nintendo's platformers are the best, and, like, I don't really get sick of them, so these were huge, great surprises to me. I don't know what I saw on the year release date. I assume these are this year, because Nintendo mostly does 2017 games, so these are going to be great games to have out by the end of the year. Really big surprise. They spent some time on Fire Emblem Warriors, just a little bit, and then they did do some Treehouse streaming I've managed to catch just a little bit of before recording. So it's awesome that they showed more of that. That game feels real and tangible. It's going to be another huge game for 2017. They detailed some of the Zelda DLC stuff. Looks very interesting. More amiibo support. Really great stuff. I mean, they're doing really good things with Breath of the Wild still. So that's very exciting. You know, they talked about Skyrim a little bit, which I thought was really cool. And they talked about FIFA. I have to say, I like that they talked a little bit about third parties. I would have liked more third-party content, so I'm hoping the Treehouse will start to show us some of that stuff. But it is still nice that they showed Rocket League, they showed Skyrim, and they showed FIFA. So they addressed third parties just a little bit. No third-party exclusive reveal like I was expecting, beyond Mario and Rabbids, which they talked about as well. So there is that, and that does count for something. But I was expecting another one, and they didn't do that, and that's okay. And then, of course, the big thing, man, Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey gave us some real details. The biggest one to me is, you know, they talked about the Odyssey ship that Mario used to fly around the world. That's really fantastic. Very excited for that. I like what that's doing. It's Mario's hat. Now we truly understand the hat because you can put that hat on flipping anything and then you control it, and you can become a lamppost, you can become a fireball, you can become a spark of electricity, you can become a dinosaur, you could become a rocket, you could probably become a skateboard or a car or whatever. I mean, wow, that is such a cool mechanic. On top of the fact that it helps you kind of traverse through the worlds, and they seem to have a really interesting narrative because a lot of it was in New Donk City, what they've shown so far. I haven't seen any of the other stuff yet, like I said, and there's like actual people asking you to do things and get like side quests and side missions and stuff, like, you know, gather the musicians and things like that. And wow, what a cool thing to do. Like, suddenly it feels more like, and they alluded to this, Mario Sunshine, where you have like a community of people that you do interact with and talk to, and they might ask you to do things or give you character and personality. And that's what they're doing with Odyssey. And the gameplay looks as top-notch as we've ever seen it. That's the Mario thing. That's the Nintendo thing. The perfect execution of gameplay and control that you could possibly get. Amazing graphics. We're going to get so many crazy worlds. Very excited to see Odyssey play out. throughout the rest of the treehouse and see what other new things they show us. It's going to be just the most amazing thing, you know? And then they went right into that with the treehouse, and then they went into the Metroid Samus Returns thing. So, you know, and there's probably even a couple things. Am I missing some things? I don't know, man. Yoshi, Kirby, Xenoblade, Rocket League, Mario, Mario plus Rabbids, Metroid Prime, Fire Emblem Warriors, Jesus, Zelda DLC, so many games, so much content. There were surprises. There was great information about games we already knew about. The Treehouse is killing it. A couple of third-party games. I do want to see more third-party games. I think that's where I'll end it is. I think that not having more addressing of third-party stuff, at least so far, is a little disappointing. There is, like I said, still time for that to happen, either this year or, hell, even later in the year. I mean, we still may get Call of Duty and things like that. I get it. But it would have been nice to see more of it just initially. But, you know, you consider typically Nintendo, they just address their own games for the most part in stuff like Nintendo Directs and at E3, these presentations. So that's okay. You know, I thought that they did well, and the fact that they did anything was a great thing. So I guess I'm going to wrap this up here. I could just keep going forever, and it's already going to be a really long video because I spent so much time on Metroid. But, I mean, this is an A. This is like a knockout. This is an A conference and presentation and initial strong showing from Nintendo. They did what I hoped they would do, but I questioned. They came out strong and confident. They're like, we want to kick you in the nuts with awesomeness. Look at all these games, and they were gutsy enough to talk about some 2018 things. They knew not to be afraid to talk about something like Metroid. This is such a Metroid makeup, and I liked Federation Force, but I get that they have to make up for that game. And to have two games, one ready to go on the 3DS that looks like everything we've wanted from a Metroid game, and they're giving us the big next generation Switch Metroid game in the next year or two as well. Like, that's something that's not typically Nintendo, which is why I didn't think that we'd see it. Oh, Pokemon! How did I forget Pokemon? Another one of my big bets and predictions that was actually correct. So I'm like 50-50 on all my Nintendo predictions. There's a lot that I got right and a lot that I got wrong. Pokemon was one of the big ones. They did address it, and they confirmed it as a brand new Pokemon game. Like, I doubt I'll play it. It's not for me, but that's huge. The Switch is going to continue to sell like nobody's business. They did what they needed to do at E3 this year. Nintendo knocked it out of the park. They met their expectations. They met the standards we have for them. They gave us surprises. They gave us a bunch of Metroid. They gave us Pokemon. It's huge. Mario Odyssey is going to be the most incredible thing ever. I can't say enough good things about it, you guys. Like I said, for me, the biggest negative is I would have liked, I guess, a longer presentation. Like, I love that they did quickfire. I didn't expect quickfire trailers, but they did do that. It's like, hey, make it another 15 minutes and give us more trailers. But, you know, I thought it was great. To me, not having as much third-party stuff as I would have liked is probably the biggest thing. But that's not a big negative because I believe it's coming, and their lineup is incredible. Their lineup is so good. The Wii U taught them so many lessons, and they have obviously learned from every single lesson. I love Reggie. God damn it, I love Reggie so much, man. I'm so glad that he was there. So I'm gonna, like I said, it's an A conference for me. Best showing of the year so far. Easily, they won E3 hands down, and now we have a couple of days of Treehouse to keep looking forward to. So that's it, man. 2 Metroid games, plus Beyond Good and Evil 2 yesterday. I'm literally like a shell of a man. I am a shell of a human being right now, you guys. I don't know how I managed to talk to you guys for 20 minutes about this even, because I'm so emotionally distraught. But it's a great day. Great time to be a gamer. Great time to be a Nintendo fan. Great time to be a Metroid fan, obviously. So I'm going to wrap this up and shut up and get back to watching Treehouse and playing video games while I have some time off of work this week. So tell me what you guys thought of Nintendo and the Spotlight and Mario Odyssey and Metroid games and Pokemon and Fire Emblem and all these great things. What do you think? Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule 2 Review, and I will catch you next time on another E3 video.